Hey everybody. So I haven't recorded in nearly a year, so we're going to get into doing some sculpting. We'll see where it goes. Again, if you have anything in particular you want to see, go ahead and leave a comment, and we'll see about making a video on some tips or tricks that I have learned, and maybe it'll help you in your sculpting and creative journey. So today we're going to start off. There's this Charging Minotaur that I've been working on for a while. So I've got it blocked out, and it's based off of a sculpt I already did. The arms and head and horns are all separate, and again, this is in Zbrush. So what I figured we would start with is, so the pose is pretty much blocked in, but as you can see, there's certain parts that are just twisted or deformed from the placement. So we're going to go through and we're going to alter these ones with some sculpting, and we'll see where it goes. So we're going to start with some clay buildup, and I prefer to do it with alpha off and just kind of how it's already set up for. So let's see. I'm going to start off by smoothing this. Got this muscle here that's way over defined. Now because this is a miniature, again, stuff needs to be exaggerated. You don't want to go super far with that though. If you go too far with it, it just makes it look funny. So we're going to go through and do this. And I believe I have Dynamesh on. If I don't, we're going to get that going. Since we're just working on the blocking, we're going to use Dynamesh to our advantage. Alright, so using Dam Standard, we'll cut that in. And I'll go. And if you're new to the channel, I have everything hotkeyed. So the first couple times I'll try to pull up the brush just through the brush palette using B, and then clay buildup, which I have hotkeyed. And we'll go through and start building this into shape. And as the stream goes on, or as the video goes on, I will just kind of use my hotkeys just to keep that flow. Okay. So as I was saying, this is going to be a miniature. If it was standing up like this one, all right, it is going to be 40 millimeters tall. So this is going to be 40 millimeters scale, or a 32 millimeter scale tabletop, but because it's laying down, scale is going to be kind of weird. So if you're ever doing this, I highly recommend taking it into Scale Master up here with the plugin. Scale Master, you set the sliders to your subtool size when you have everything together. So like with this Minotaur, Z plugin, slider subtool size, and then I would make this 42 millimeter. Okay, it'll scale everything so that it is uniformly 40 millimeters or 42 millimeters. Then it can scale up, and then I can alter either by disassembling it into subtools, or just laying it down and altering the sculpt so that it is to scale when I scale it down. I'm still going to take this after it's done though, and using a cube, so you can see all my different subtools. I'll take a cube, and I'll size this accordingly. So turn off all so it doesn't affect everything. Slider to subtool size, and we'll make this 42 millimeters. And that's because a standard human in most tabletop games is 32 millimeters, so this will effectively make it bigger than your average human. Okay, and then we'll go and turn on opacity down here. So as you can see, the cube's 42 millimeters, and this is pretty close from the base of this leg to the top of the head. So we can turn the cube. You can see it's pretty darn close. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and delete that subtool. But that's what you want to do if you're making any miniature and you want it to scale so you can start to see what it's going to look like. The other thing is I'm going to be working in perspective. That way I can see what this is going to look like, not in an orthographical view, but from how our eyes would see something that we're holding. So, and this perspective is off. So if it looks like it's stretched, go up here, turn this off, and go to 30. 30 is kind of the sweet spot for it, for the distortion. Okay. Now I want these wrists beefed up, so we're going to just use the move tool. So brush, move right there, BM. Okay. And we're just going to kind of pull these into position so that they look thicker. Okay. Part of that is for the strength of having it printed and reproduced, and the other reason is, I mean, it's running on his wrist, you know, it needs to be strong. So we're going through and doing that. Okay, and if you remember from some previous videos I have done, you want to remember what details are going to be showing up and what's not, so you don't take excess time with something that won't be seen. So for example, if I did fingernails right here, it'd be a fun detail, but as far as the print itself, it's not going to be seen. So if you look at this guy, okay, where do we go with the camera? There we go. So I don't know if it's going to focus. Okay. With how small it is, you can see with these fingers, I mean, it's minuscule, so it's not going to pull up that detail. Wish I could make that focus better, but anyway. So if you want to sculpt it in for reference, you can. It's just something that will not typically be shown with the print because it's just too fine detail. It's too small. Okay, so we're going to scale that. Pull these fingers out. So the design I did is, it's basically like fingers have grown in between the hooves of the bull. It's kind of an odd hybrid. Okay, that looks good. Awesome. And just smooth it down. Pull out the mask, so control, drag, and that will make Dynamesh. Change it to geometry for what we have. And when you're doing this, if you got you're getting more of your shapes in, again, have this circle open, hit project, and it will help keep the main shapes in place, save you a lot of work compared to if I take project off, click that, and then I Dynamesh it, it kind of just focuses on the block of it versus that. So, okay, and I want this arm to be reaching out. So look at your silhouette, or we're gonna look at the silhouette up here. I want this arm looking out, so as it's charging, it looks like it's reaching for its next step. I did model this after a gorilla charging, kind of the same idea of how it moves. So that looks pretty good. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to do is I want this Minotaur to have manacles. Okay, so it just broke off of the wall or whatever and has it. So what we're going to do these manacles is there's a couple ways. First way that we're going to do for this one is we're going to use the curve snap. So B, you can do curve, and it's that one up there. You want to take and focus on that outer red ring. Okay, so when I drag this, you can see that is almost right between, if you had a square that was fitting in that outer ring, and that's kind of how you judge your scale. Alright, so I want these to be really beefy, so we're going to size it up. I'm just holding the space bar to pull that up. And then when I get to the edge, I'm going to hold shift, and that'll make it a complete circle. Okay. If it looks too blocky like that, something you can do is go up here to stroke. Come on. And I believe it's in curves. There we go. Curve step, and just increase this. Okay. So by doing that, it will want to go the other way. So this will determine how big the sections around your curve are. Okay, so you can see by doing that we have the cuff of the manacle, and we can, if we wanted to, we can pull these on these lines and reposition the manacle. I like how that looks for the most part, so we're just going to go use the rotate, so R, and twist it to have it in position. Awesome. You can see where it's thin right here, so that's going to disappear with the print. So I'm going to adjust this thickness, rotate, and just pull it out a little bit. Awesome. Now before I'm all said and done with that cuff, I am going to inflate it, but that's going to work for now as it is. Okay, so then we'll click on it to get rid of that line, that curve line, and now we'll start making the manacle links. So if we press B, go up to, where is it? IMM basic. We can take this ring right here, and we'll put that right there. Okay, just drag it. About like that. Rotate it to have it sit right. And inflate or scale up. So you kind of just mess with it as you need to. And the nice thing with these lines is you can get it lined up on one of these planes, one of these faces, and it will help it look straight. If you want to be more technical with it, you don't have to do that, but I have found it to be effective for me. So now we need to make this way thicker. So we'll just go down here to deformation and click on inflate, and we'll go with a 2. That looks good. Okay, now this hole in it we're going to get rid of after we add the other links. So we'll take, so if you want to, there are other curves in here. I think this one. Nope. Maybe this one. Okay. So in this one, you can go across some other curves and have other things like there's a dragon spine, there's a bike chain, chain with a base. So you can use those as something to go off of. I want to make my own, so I'm going to go back up to IMM basic, take that ring, and click and drag. And I do want to make it somewhat oblong. And then again, we'll inflate 2. Now before we position this, we're going to pull this out so it doesn't have necessarily a thicker side. If we want to square up the corners a little bit, we can totally do that. So that quick, we have a link, right? Now we can get this link in position. this is why I like to make my own links, is now I can take this link once it's in position, and I do want some overlap with the other one, because like I said, we're going to get rid of the gap so it becomes watertight. We want the indication in the pieces where they meet, and that will make the different links show up when we print. Okay, now I'm going to be using these links to show motion, so I want to have it, I'm going to move the pivot point from the center all the way over here to where it would pivot on the previous link, and I'm just going to rotate. Okay. And you just use the transform gizmo to get it in position where you want, to where it looks good. So now we're going to hold control, click and drag, and now we have another link that's the same size and the same shape. Okay, so the fun thing with that, we'll undo, is if I go to my move tool, let's say I want to create spikes on this. So I can go here, and we'll take the move, and we can just pull up some spikes. Alright, so now we have kind of a more fantastical link, I guess you could call it. You know, insert your definition here. Okay, now I can take that, and now my next link has the spikes as well. Okay, it's a real easy way to make your links look however you want. If you want them more square, if you want them more jagged, worn out, however you want. Okay, but we're going to stick with this. Rotate, and I like to have my rotate, or my gizmo, over on the end that's going to be meeting up, so that I can have things rotate accordingly. Okay, so we just go through and position the chain links how we want. And I don't want too many, so that they can be printed really, really well. If you get, the more distance they are from the model, the more flimsy they can be on the print, where they can snap off really, really easy. Something else to keep in mind with different pieces. So put that there. Awesome. And we'll add one more. Rotate it. And place that right there. Cool. So that quick, we have our chain links put in there and a cuff on this wrist. And we're going to take it, and because these are different poly groups, I can have my rotate on, hold control, click on the arm, invert that mask, and so that will mask that. And I can invert the mask, either control I or holding control and clicking off of the model. And I want to inflate this whole thing by 4. Okay. So close up, doesn't look very defined, doesn't look very good. Zoom out, and it's clearly defined as those links. Okay. But I do want to close this up a little bit more, and I can take it and define these a little bit more with either doing move and just kind of squishing this over. All I'll do is control drag off to clear the mask, click on the individual link, or, and I've been doing this a lot lately for a lot of my models, if you go into your brush palette and do the Z modeler, oops, Z modeler right here, hold spacebar over one of the planes or faces, mask, island, clear the mask, And now it'll only mask that island because it's all one solid mesh. So it makes things really easy to mask just what you want. Okay, so we'll clear that. And now, drag that this way. Reposition it in the middle. I just want to thin this just a little bit so it's a little more defined. Okay. Because again, this is the thickness I want so that it makes this solid. Okay. There's other ways to do it. I can insert a cone or a cylinder right there in between the links to where it closes them up. You can start with a cylinder and just inflate the edges and have the inside there. There's different ways to do it. This is the way I like to do it, so I can see how things are interacting. Okay, that looks really good. Then we're going to go to this. So using the Z modeler again, mask that, invert, drag, move our axes, and scale it in just a little bit. Okay. And for the last one, do it one more time. Might be considered a little tedious, but again, I like to do this method more than any other way I've found because I have a lot of control. I can make sure things are where I want them to have the best advantage with the print. Okay. Okay, so this part right here, we're actually going to go through and use the inflate brush. So B-I to inflate, and we're going to inflate right here. Okay. That's just going to fill that in. Just kind of position a little bit. And use the dam standard to just move that just a smidge. Okay. So now, when it is printed, it's going to be about here, so I'm going to check it. And that works, and I feel really confident with it. Awesome. Now with the manacle, let's say that we want to take and put a bar over here where it opens for the clasp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, and instead of having mask island, I'm going to mask a single poly. Click on this one, click on this one. So it just masks those two. And then with the gizmo, center on face, holding control, drag that out. And just position it so it's in alignment. And then I want a small taper with it as well. Okay, mostly because that's going to help with the print. Good, good, good. Just like that. Okay. And we'll make an indication of a stud going through it. And we're going to do that with brush. Let's do it this way. Insert primitive. We're going to take the capsule, drag it on that face right there, scale in, and I'm just holding Alt while I click on this one so it only moves the other two axes. Awesome. And you absolutely could take the take this and make it a separate subtool if you want. The manacle and the chain, I didn't feel it was necessary for this one. And then we'll do inflate just to build this up just a little bit more so it's not quite as sharp. But we'll do the opposite with this side and stretch this one a little bit longer. And smooth it down. Okay. So that easy, we have a manacle with some chain links on top of an arm. And if I want to, since this is lower poly, I can easily take and divide it. If I do that now, it's really going to smooth this corner, so I'll show you that. Okay, I lose all definition, so I'm going to take and use the modeler, go to the corners. I'm going to turn the polyframe on right over here. Crease edge loop complete on these edges that I want to maintain. Just like that. And I want these edges to maintain their crease. Let's go through and click every edge that I want to have that crease width. Okay, and we'll click off this one. Alright, so now subdivide it again. And there we go. Alright. Now let's undo that real quick. So I'll show you one more quick thing. So if I want to where I get the crease the inside of this cuff, easy way to do that is to mask the island. So mask island with Z modeler on. Click on the face I want. Invert the mask. So control click off. And then I'm going to, okay, I've done this one, I haven't done this in a long time. Gonna go to visibility. So I'm going to invert it so that what I want to see is masked, what I don't want to see is not, and click hide point. Okay, at that point I can go into here. Awesome. Crease and crease. Then if I bring everything back, so show point. You can also do this with the select rectangle, click and drag. So if I go back to where I only have this, I can click and drag, and it will invert what's hidden, or with select rectangle, control shift, I can click off the model anywhere and it will show up. So now if I do it, keeps things nice and crisp. And there we go. We have our arm with the manacle on it, and ready to move on to the next step. So hopefully that helps you guys if there's anything similar to that you want to do on your models. And look for the next video. Not sure when it's going to come out. I'm hoping to be more consistent, at least doing one every other month as I work through these characters and creatures. And we'll keep going with it. So hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if you have anything that you want to see, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and get out there and create something. Have a great day.